What's going on, YouTube? All right, I think I finally came up with a conclusion, and this is actually going to be a part one video of the regulator repair video, which I'll have it probably listed under something. Don't know yet, but anyway, the tools for this job, if you're going to do something like this, if you pulled your door panel off and you noticed that your window's been off track for a while, and if you look at my first video when I was trying to figure this stuff out, trying to gather some help, and I had a couple people that actually want to shout out to a thank you on, because you know, y'all did give me some really good ideas on what to do. So I'm actually going to follow through with it on a certain basis. So anyway, windows popping off track, you come under here and you look, and that used to be a stud. If you look at my first video that I made, this actually was a stud. For the tools that you really need is a grinder with a cutoff wheel, a drill with a good drill bit, but I'm going to get into that here in a minute. And let's see what else. Trying to think. Anyway, it'll come to me later. But anyway, what you need to do, this drill here is a little bit too big for a job like this, and you got to be very, very careful with it, and be very cautious on what you're doing, because if you make a mistake, you can literally cut into this. You do not want to cut into this. You don't really want to cut into this either, but you're going to with a grinder with a cutoff wheel this size. I mean, this is basically a medium one from Harbor Freight, but it gets the job done. What I had to do was cut off, move everything around real quick. First I had to cut off this piece, which actually went in there like that. Second, this piece, same piece, I just cut it off in a couple sections, which actually went on the back of that to hook onto that. All right, so using something like this, be very careful. I would actually prefer, if you've got a smaller type of grinder, maybe like a die grinder or something like that that's really small, that could actually come in and cut that off level with the bracket, you're better off. In a sense, you're better off that way. I was going to try to tap it out, but I realized and looked that you can't very well tap that out at all. Try and get the camera, because there is like a little gap between the bracket and the stud. So that tells me that there is a divot or a dip or whatever, kind of similar to this, that this hooks in between the bracket. These two pieces hook between the bracket, which this don't, but that does. So doing the tap thing, it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. Plus, on top of that, my window is also held on by rivets, so that completely eliminates that. And I did not want to create a whole bunch of vibration and cause this window to actually bust on me. So I done this method. Cut the stud, take a drill bit. Now I'm not going to use this drill bit for the rest of the drilling out the hole and all that stuff, and I wished I could actually show you the drill bit that I really want to use on it, but this I don't think is really made for metal. I just picked up some random drill bit and just started drilling through it. It works. Also, when you go to drill, make sure you have WD-40, PB Blaster, or some type of lubricant to spray on that while you're drilling. That's going to also increase The cutting power, it's also going to help reduce heat, so that way it does not heat up, and that way it keeps everything cool and you're cutting a lot better, you know. So use some type of lubricant when you're drilling. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and shut this video down. If I can find my other drill bit that I'm looking for this, and the drill bit that I'm thinking of, it's actually for putting holes through firewalls. And if y'all are not familiar with if you're not familiar with that tool of what I'm speaking of, go to my other channel. I think it's Eric Jones 04 Ford Freestar water pump. I believe I have that tool in that video. That's the tool that I'm going to be using for this. I just basically drilled a hole here, just basically for a pilot hole, so I can actually take the other drill bit and drill through this and actually cut this here out, completely out, and just make one big hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, because this is actually going to be a step-by-step video. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it short, and I'll be back later to make another video on after I run a bolt through that. So y'all stay tuned. See y'all later. God bless.